I'm Cynthia Riley. It's July 25th, and I'm sitting here with Ila and Ray Almond. And I'm so glad that you're here.
Thanks.
So I'm going to be asking you some questions, and I hope you'll just feel free to answer fully, however you'd like to. So let's start with, what are some of your first memories of First Congregational Church, United Church of Christ?
Go ahead.
Well, we came to, when our first child was about 2, I think, when we first came.
Yeah.
You know. And that's our Jeff. And he didn't like it particularly. So we went away for a year or something, and then came back, and he did like it. So why we listened to him, and he was our first, you know. So we thought he was perfect. But anyway, then we came when he was, about 4.
4 or 5, yeah. But some of my first memories of church was trying to keep him settled down, because he was always on the move, always wiggling and making a lot of noise, and so we were very conscious of how he was disruptive, at least we thought, and that was one of the things. You can tell the rest of that.
Well, Jerry Jordan was instrumental with us. I mean, I really cared about Jerry Jordan. I still do.
And can you say what year this was that you started attending?
Well, about 1977. We joined actually in about 81, somewhere around there, but it was,
but he
would take a few years.
Well, he gave a little parenting class, and we definitely enlisted in it because we needed help. Well, we didn't need that much, but anyway.
But every parent needs help,
yes,
right?
Yes,
right.
we were new at the game, and we were having our family, and so by the time we came back, we did have Corey, so we had 2 boys. Anyway, he gave a parenting class, and one of the things I asked him, I said, I have a terrible time with Jeff because he's always moving. He was a good kid, he wasn't distracted, but he was always moving. And I said, what do I, when we're in church, that really bothers me. What do I do about it? I keep trying to correct him and everything. And he said to me, Jerry said, Ila, you sit as close as you can to the front. He said, don't sit back further. And he said, and you just pay attention and let me worry about Jeff. And it worked. It worked. I paid attention to what Jerry was saying, and Jeff got better, He just kind of would calm down, and,
What wonderful advice.
It was. Jerry has helped me in many ways over the years.
Well, and I think one of the first, real special, and so many people do remember this of Jerry, was his brown bag, kids' sermons, and that was always very special, and I got so much out of his brown bag mini sermons that was just
the adults and children loved it.
Oh yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
He did. And thinking of his brown bag services, it was during one of those that I decided it was the place I wanted to raise my children. And it was because he had some Christmas cards, and he held them up to the kids, got them out of this brown bag, and he said, Gail and I get a lot of Christmas cards every year, and he said, we so enjoy them. He said, we really do. But it would make us very sad if we thought people sent us a Christmas card just because they had to, just because they felt they had to. And he said, and so we think everybody wants to send us a Christmas card, or they wouldn't. And I loved that message for the kids. And why it touched me, I don't know, but I thought, that's the kind of thing I want our kids to be brought up with. And so that, that kind of
was there Sunday school back in those days for the kids?
Oh, yeah. I taught every other year. All the time our kids were growing up, yes.
What grades did you teach in Sunday school?
Oh, gosh. I think from first grade clear up to 6th. And then I did vacation church school, and we had a lot going on then, and I had a lot of friends who also did it, and it was really nice. Our kids and being involved. We had a lot of children's productions, musical productions.
That's what I've heard.
We did. Do you remember those, Ray?
Oh, yeah.
Of course,
Yes,
we
yeah.
thought our kids were the best, but
Of
they were just
course.
great.
Of course.
Yeah.
But thanks to Sara Weatherman, she was the Christian Ed director.
I've heard her name.
Oh, she's wonderful. You can meet her. She lives in town now. She goes to the Vista Grande church
see.
with her daughter. But anyway, she really made sure, she was the Christian Ed director, she made sure that it was an eclectic group. I mean, she did all ages of the church. We did things together. But the musical, thanks to her, and Susan Holman.
That's who I was just wondering about because I hear her name associated with the musical
Oh,
absolutely.
my.
aspect of the church so often.
Yeah, and there were a lot of other people involved also. But they, Joseph in the Technicolor Dreamcoat, and just all kinds of things. So we got to
wonderful.
see our kids in things, and it was wonderful. In fact, that last one I just mentioned, I think it was, who is our soprano that is so beautiful? I can't think of her name. Anyway,
Victoria Hanson.
yes, she I think was the head of that one. But we did it, and they would do it in church for the congregation, just like on a Sunday morning or something.
fantastic.
What I liked about that is that everybody got to see it. Older people did, and younger people did.
Yes, yes.
It was nice.
So, was that the main reason that you joined the church? Was because of your children, or what other reasons did you have for getting involved?
Well, we joined this First Congregational. Ila and I come from very different religious background upbringing. She was kind of brought up more Unitarian, and I was from the Midwest and from First Christian Church, which was much more conservative.
I see.
And that we spent some time in the Air Force, or I spent some time in the Air Force, but
Me too.
yeah. And we had, and first part of our marriage, we had gone to some different churches, and we were in Germany, so the base church and a few others. And when I got out of the Air Force, we went to the First Christian Church, the kind of my background in Denver.
Yes.
And we found that really wasn't, it wasn't that we didn't like it, but it wasn't a good fit for the both of us. And so when we moved here, after I graduated school, we kind of looked around a bit, and this was one of the churches that we kind of explored, and
And you've been members a long time.
about 42, 44 years, something like that.
Wonderful.
Give or
Somewhere.
take. We don't really.
We can't
It's hard
remember
to keep
exactly.
track of that,
Well,
Well, we
isn't it?
didn't join right away, so we came several years before
Well,
we actually
at
joined, and then Ila, they even asked her to teach Sunday school because we had been attending and not knowing that we weren't members, but she taught anyway.
I told them I wasn't a member,
Right,
and
right.
they said that's okay.
They still wanted you, Ila.
Yeah, they still did, and I think that was it. To me, I loved the people that I met,
Wonderful people.
and we still meet new people all the time, and really like them. So that was great. I remember people that affected our children, and that was important to us. Our children were important at that time because we had a growing family. So if they had disliked it, I suppose that would have changed things, but they liked it, so it was fine. And Judy Carnahan, do you remember her?
Oh, yeah.
She sat in the pew right in front of us, because by then we were sitting in the center pew about the third or fourth row down, because Jerry said to
That's
sit close.
right.
And so Judy was in front of us, and she was an older lady. She wouldn't be so old to me now, but she was
Right.
then.
Right.
And she was very special. She really was. And there was something about her that our son Jeff liked, I guess. And I don't know why, because I never really saw her talk to him that much or anything. But when we'd come Sundays, he started sitting by her. he would scoot in next to her and just sit there, you know. And so that was instrumental. And then when Ray was, he was ill, and she sent both of us a little card saying that we were a beautiful family and we had to have faith and God would take care of us, and that was just what I needed to hear at the time. Yes. And she had a little devotional sent to me so that in the wee hours of the night when I was so scared about things, I could read that little devotional. And so she was really, really special.
Wonderful.
And then Elmer and Betty Nelson, they sat in the last pew
in the center.
It's interesting how we all establish our places.
Yeah, yes. We kind of do. I mean, we've had to change ours because different people came and, you know, that was fine. But anyway, Elmer and Betty, for some reason, our daughter, Jenna, she was our last one born, she always had to stop and say hello to them every Sunday morning.
Very little.
She was just a little thing, and she would say hello. And Elmer would always say, they had been teachers before, I think. I know he had, but, you know, anyway. And he said, you know, she always has to stop and say hello to us. It's always feels so good. So I think that to bring all ages together is something we still need to do some work on, you know, because then I didn't know I'd remember all these people, but
correct, that's right.
Later I realized what a
real gift.
They were. Do you remember Corey with Miriam? I think it must have been Miriam Giese. He met her on the, and he was a little guy, and he had just, I guess he had finally learned to spell his name or something, because he would introduce himself. Hello, I'm Corey, Corey.
How cute.
And he did that with her, and he said, hello, my name is Corey, Corey. And she said, why, hello, Corey, my name is Miriam, Miriam.
Oh, I love that.
And our kids just still have memories of people that they met in church, and I'm really glad that we came to the right place, you know.
Yes, it sounds like you really found a church home and a church family to be part of.
I think family is a good word for that. I think because, and even if you don't see somebody outside of church much, when you come visit home, that's where they are. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. Can you share any time or memories that you had with any small groups or committees? I mean, you've talked a little bit about your teaching, but anything else that you'd like to share about teaching or any other involvements you had through the years?
Well, okay. Well, let me just involvements. At that on our younger days, we were both very active in the church, and I was on the church board. I was vice chair for a short time. Ila and I both spent some time on the CE, but not at the same time. The CE board.
What is the CE?
Christian Education.
Oh, okay.
And I was on OCWM, our church wider mission. The mission.
Yes.
And we were we both on the membership?
Yes.
Well, both on the membership, and I was on the stewardship committee.
Were you on every committee in the church? It sounds
like it. Well, I was on the library. We had a library committee once. I was on that. I wasn't real good on that, though, I gotta say, because we were classifying books and I didn't quite know what I was doing, but we had had someone who tried real hard to teach me. So that's good.
And I was Joseph one. I don't remember exactly when, but it was.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
Do you remember who Mary was with you?
Yes, Marci McNeill.
Oh, I see.
Marci McNeill. She's gone now.
Yes, I know.
But
Paul
she
McNeill's
was married to Paul. Yeah. And I knew Marci also through teaching, and we did some Bible study groups. So Sarah would have like 6-week Bible study groups and stuff. And since I was teaching, I almost had to go to those because I didn't know enough about the Bible. I didn't want to steer the children wrong, and so I would go to those, and there was a lot going on there. That was that was a lot of fun. I loved teaching anyway, so that was a fun thing to do. And I don't know what else to say. When I was on the CE board, Chris Gilmore came in because he was applying to be our youth director.
Oh.
And Chris Gilmore is now a pastor in Denver of a UCC church, the 6th Avenue.
6th Avenue, yeah.
UCC church. He's still near and dear to me. He is.
Oh.
But the thing is, he came in, and I remember he was wearing earrings. 1 earring or 2 earrings, I don't know, doesn't matter. And I do remember noticing that because our son had an earring too, So, I did notice that, but he was just wonderful, and he was going to CC, and it was expensive, and he wanted a job, and he loved working with youth because he was from a UCC church, and he had been in the youth group stuff. So we did decide to hire him, and I think Ray, you were involved that too because you were on the council or something.
Yeah.
So anyway, and it was the right thing. He was a wonderful youth director, and
Was he here several years then?
he was here, all through Jeff, I think.
I believe
And
so.
Jeff goes to his church now. That's
Our
our oldest.
How
son's family
wonderful.
goes to the 6th Avenue.
Yeah, he's and even now we were going through some things, and Chris called me and to reassure me that things would be all right. And I thought, he is just the greatest guy. I mean, he just is. But I met him. He was our youth director. So
That's fantastic. It seems like we're really talking about kind of a circular experience here. You never know what all this is going to include and where it's going to go.
you don't know, and that's what, if someone's new, it's just beginning.
Yes.
The things, they won't be in everything. They don't have to be the star in everything.
Right.
But I think they'll get a lot out of it.
Now, Ray, what were your favorite involvements? It sounds like you were on many committees and boards.
Oh, well, I guess we had men's retreats, and I think that was one of the really kind of special things that I was involved with in setting up. And I was never the main leader or whatever, but I was instrumental in getting them going, getting them set up, and that sort of thing. And we had a men's retreat at La Foret the year, it was 97, that we had this, phenomenal snowstorm, and we got snowed in.
yes.
We got snowed in.
Oh, so you were there in October?
We were there in October, got
yes.
snowed in, and we had to dig our way out to the main road, and
my
that's a long ways. Yes, but that was really quite an experience. And I had known Mike McAdams through the church, but not we're didn't have any kind of an intimate involvement. But he gave me a ride home, and got to know Mike better through the years. Well, anyway, the last, I don't know how many years, but we've been ski partners.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So the men's retreat was a yearly retreat?
Pretty much. I mean, yeah.
And was it usually held at La Foret?
No, it was at different venues around, and there were women's retreats that Ila was involved with.
You really get to know people more on a retreat. And that's, I have stories what goes on at the retreat stays at the retreat. It's
Kind of like Las Vegas.
The other story that I want to tell, interesting kind of thing, and Ila and I both love this. We weren't directly involved with this, but Forgy, what?
Nancy Forgy.
Nancy Forgy. We were at some event at the church.
It was church. It was church. It was just a Sunday service.
I don't remember. Anyway, somebody from the street walked off with Patty White's purse.
Oh my gosh.
And evidently some people saw kind of the direction that the person went. Well, Nancy Forgy, little petite Nancy Forgy went after him.
Oh
I
my
guess
gosh.
They
encountered
found
the
him
guy
somewhere.
at a park some blocks away and demanded that he return the purse.
And he
did.
She got Patty's purse back.
So anyway,
I still think that's so funny.
Yeah, that's the funniest.
Well, and I know she's really into fitness, so
Yeah.
she must have been into fitness for many, many
Yeah,
years.
she always was petite and stuff, but
Yes.
she,
That's
was,
incredible.
But, yeah, it
she
was-
chased down the thief.
Quite brave.
love
I
that.
think I would have never done that.
but
Fearless.
I wouldn't go up against Nancy. now.
No.
So,
Yeah.
who were some of your, I mean, you've talked about some of your favorite people. Who were some of the other friends that maybe you made through the church?
Wow, that's where last night when we were, because of my memory, I was writing down, and I have this very big long list of people that we have known through the years. So it's, besides Elmer and Betty and the Holmans and Nancy and Al Forgy and they're just
The
Gustafsons.
They're still coming. They still are with the church, and there's just lots. I mean, you never know who is going to matter in your life, and everybody has something. It's just really, now. I still Zoom once a month with our Koinonia group. Now, the Koinonia group got started by Olga Tatter. Her husband Paul Tatter was a pastor at the Woodland
Park,
church. I can't remember the name of it now, but anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And
Was
so
it a
when
UCC
he
church?
retired,
Yes.
when he retired, they came to our church.
I see.
And Olga, really, I such a cool person. And she started Koinonia. She said, I want to start a group where people can just meet and we can do different things, and sometimes we did something that was organized and a lot of times we didn't, But anyway, that group of women, I still Zoom with those that are left because we raised our kids together. We, we know our kids, and it really was nice. Marcia Garrett is in that. Linda Norrington, who used to be Dodson, is in that, and Kathy Lindeman is in that group, and Seal Malik is in that group.
Did you mention
And
Holman?
Susan Holman is in that group.
Oh, and Sara Weatherman.
And Sara Weatherman,
And
our
you still
wise
Zoom
one.
with this group?
And the reason they
Once a
Zoom is
month.
because
I love
Linda Norrington lives in Hawaii, and so that's how they get together. But the reason they get together on Zoom is because she lives out of
Well, yes, that's right. That's right, because we used to meet at Fargo's, but then Linda wanted to join that too, and we wanted her to. And so then, and over COVID and stuff, it was kind of when we really got into the Zooming business. And so we talked to each other, and we talk about anything. Kind of like a little mini retreat every month.
So was Koinonia, was that sort of a study group, or was it more just social?
Well, it varied. We did study some.
It started out as a study group, didn't
Well,
it?
I
remember that it was more organized to begin with, in terms of.
Well, we always were a little bit organized because somebody would have a prayer, somebody would have maybe a meditation, somebody.
Bible reading.
Joanne Shue, who used to be the church secretary, she was in that group also. She's passed away now, but she was in that group also. She always brought beautiful napkins, and we did a couple of books. Don't Sweat the Small Stuff was one of the books we did, and we did The Dance of Anger, and we did some different books, and then. There was always something we were doing, but it was pretty, kind of, we could deviate. We were good deviators.
And that jazzed it up.
Yeah. But it really did make for it. Gladys Irwin, she was an older lady too. She was in that group with us. And I think a lot of it had, it was hard for Gladys, for example. Marcia and I were continually late to it because we had little kids to drop off and stuff. So
Yes.
Gladys had to adjust to that.
Mm-hmm.
We, in turn, learned lessons from Gladys, you know,
About timeliness.
About timeliness and stuff. That we did, and so it was just a nice group of women
Sounds
that
wonderful.
you know got together, and yeah, we would read and stuff together too, and you know it was fun.
Are there any other memories you'd like to share at all about people, situations, things you value about the church?
I think one of the things when we were contemplating this that I kind of enjoyed, I've never been really big on Halloween, but the Halloween costume contest kind of thing, sticks in my mind as a real fun event that we had.
Was that
'cause
just
our
for
kids,
children, or
Well,
was
well,
that?
it was for children and adults.
Well, the
I
adults
mean-
went with the children.
Yes,
I wore
but-
that witch's mask.
Oh, I know, that was traumatizing to you. But anyway,
Nobody
yeah,
knew
some
who
of
I was. It
because
was
we
just-
were helping our kids, you know,
Uh-huh.
with the costumes, and we always did, you know, homemade kind of costumes, and so yeah, that was really fun because our kids came up with some really creative ideas that we needed
I
to try
bet.
to follow through with, and so
How fun.
That was.
Yeah.
There were a lot of things that included all ages, and I think that that's something that is good. You know, Sarah was especially good at that.
I just thought of something that, you know, one of the things that we continue to talk about was a coffee hour.
Yeah.
That was a really special time, and especially when we first came, Jerry was so good about meet and greet and everything, and coffee hour, and really getting around to
Oh,
a
so
lot of
he would
people.
really mingle during the coffee hour.
Oh my goodness,
Absolutely.
he was a master of
Talking to you for a couple of minutes and then
and moving
introducing
on.
you to
And
somebody
so
else
that-
and then moving
wonderful.
on.
Yeah,
Absolutely
and so
is.
that was a
Especially
real,
for newcomers.
well, yes, and that's how we got to know so many people in the church, was during the coffee hour, and how the kids got to interact with some of the older people. So it was intergenerational in that sense. There was always cookies, and there were some kids that, well, Jerry even did a
did a thing on how
brown
many
bag
cookies.
is on how many cookies a kid should take. You know, the rule of the cookie table.
Right.
3 was the
Three was the
see,
limit.
3.
for the
but it-
Trinity.
I was just thinking of Trinity when you said
so
that.
Jerry incorporated that anyway. So there were cookies and Kool-Aid for the kids, and you know, so that you know, the kids were involved, parents were there, but we really valued the time, coffee hour time.
I think now, because I'm in the other group now, I'm in the older group now, I love kids and I love to see them. And that is one thing I kind of miss, unless we have like the 5th Sunday or whatever.
Yeah.
And then, you know, we kind of get to see them a little
We
bit.
had
Now, did they
coffee
have
hour every
adult
week.
education back then?
Oh yeah, we had the forum. And then
Oh, the
there'd
forum,
be Bible
absolutely.
studies
Oh, yeah.
sometimes or
Were
something
you
like that.
involved with the forum?
We
Yes.
went a lot.
You know,
Dave-
Dave Seifert started the forum.
Yes.
We were on like one of those long tables that we have. That's how many people we had. Oh,
You get kind of wild with those hands.
but anyway, and it was just us around that table. Wilbur Fulker was there. Marcia was there. I think we met Marcia, I think, at the forum. And there were just different, but talk about getting to know people.
Yeah.
That is when you
much-
really get to know
Very-
people.
And it was a
Intimate.
much smaller group then.
Intimate get together, yeah.
Yes.
It started out, but of course it rapidly grew. Yeah, we
Which
into a
that is
larger-
good too, and Dave is just wonderful
Yes.
as far as facilitating something like that, and he gave years to that.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know,
We have a lot of saints and pillars in the church.
we
don't
do, we really do. And the other thing is, we used to have a labyrinth every Thursday. They would
Oh,
put that
every
labyrinth out in the founders room.
Right?
And you could walk. Yeah.
And you could walk the labyrinth. At first we had candles, and I think maybe they thought too much candle wax, so we had to give up the candles. It was never
it's
quite
kinda
as good.
dangerous too.
Well-
don't light the fire inside the church.
You could have a votive candle or something, you know, it would work. But honestly, I did that a few times, and I learned that to do the labyrinth, I had to come in empty for anything to happen at all with the labyrinth. If I had something, I want to think about this, you know, it didn't work. But if I left myself empty and kind of walked the labyrinth, and then...
So you said as you were walking the labyrinth, you would empty yourself before you would come in, and then something would happen. How would you describe that something?
Well, that's kind of... I would feel as if I was getting a message of some sort. You know, I would feel, but not a precise, not like somebody talking to you, but more like maybe a reassurance, maybe a warmth. You know, I would say, I didn't.
How beautiful!
It was special, though. It was a special time, and I loved doing that. You know, I really did. Now, it didn't always work exactly that way, but like I say, it did when I was at peace.
Yes.
You know, going into the labyrinth. And I found that I was better journaling before I went in, so that I could kind of empty out all that, and then go in and just see what I'm supposed to hear or what I'm supposed to feel.
Experience for you.
Yeah, it's really special.
So, moving on to the future, what advice do you have for our church moving forward in the next 150 years? That's hard to imagine, isn't it? So what advice do you have? What hopes do you have for our congregation and our church?
Well, personally, I really like the direction that we're going in the church. I just find, you know, kind of the direction more meaningful. Not that there wasn't a lot of meaningful experience in the church, and
what direction what do you really mean by that?
I think more engagement, civic kind of engagement. I think what is the movement that we're about to encounter?
Creation justice.
Yes. Yeah. I think that's a real special thing, and I think that but I think advice, I was thinking about that, what would I say to people in future congregation would be persevere. Just persevere and seek, and never stop seeking. That's kind of the only words of wisdom that I could come up with.
That's great. That's great.
Well,
what about you, Ila?
It's always been community to me. If you were to say, what's the one thing that you think is important in a church and was important for you, I would say community. And so I guess I would say that you'll go through different phases, different ages, different things will happen to you, good and bad. Just be with people and listen, you know, and you never know the little tidbits that come up just when you need them in your life, and to not be afraid to share. And that, I guess, because I know that the world is going to change and it's going to be more internet and more all that, and that takes us away from face-to-face contact. And I think that we need to really get serious about getting the face-to-face contact back, and so that you know somebody you can shake their hand. I love the passing the peace on Sunday.
And sometimes it goes on for a while.
It does. Well, I think, you know, if you watch it, when we do have like a coffee hour type or a fellowship hour, notice how people are interacting together, and they tarry. They you know, they don't want to rush off, you know, and go get into their everyday life. So I guess I would just say, you never know who you're going to be glad you met. So you know that, you know, keep doing that.
You've done a fabulous job here today, just filling us in, and I've learned so much from you all. Are we out of time? Is there anything else you'd like to share?
Well, I will say that we've been through times that we were when we went in to open and affirming, there was some strife. There was some
That's what I've heard.
trouble and strife. And Jim White was instrumental in that. And, not in the strife, but in you know, the open
Part of
and
the
affirming.
process.
Right.
And there again, I was resilient in a way. I wasn't exactly resilient, but I didn't want anything pushed on me. I didn't want anything, you know, but I learned that was a wonderful thing. It ended up being a wonderful thing. And you can get over that. So that there will be bumps in the road, but sometimes those bumps are where you grow, you know. So be open to listening to other opinions and things like that.
Because there were members that left the church during that time.
Sure, and we have to understand that, because they may have left because it wasn't on their timing or something. It doesn't mean they were bad people. It just means, you know, that wasn't working for them the way we were going about it. And so we need to be mindful of that too, is, you know, what people, you know, there was a movie, Places in the Heart, where it opens with everybody in church, and then throughout the movie there's a tornado and a lot of people die and blah, 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 blah. And at the very end it ends with the people in the church, and some of those people that you know got rid of in the were gotten rid of.
They were no longer a character in the movie.
They were in the church, and when I saw that many, many years ago, I didn't understand that ending. I thought, that's kind of a weird ending to have. But do you know now, sometimes I see Judy Carnahan, and I see Elmer and Betty, and I see Thelma, who used to sit right next to Judy, and I see people that we knew, and so I understand that beginning now, is that because the people are always going to be there, always. You know, what you in church will always be. They'll always be there.
That really gives me chills. Thank you for sharing that. That's really a beautiful idea, that they're still there energetically, or you still feel their presence. And they have these very strong, meaningful memories of these people in the past.
Yeah. Aren't we lucky?
Yes, yes. Well, thank you so much. You've been awesome.
Thank you.
Well, thank you.